Jealousy rarely presents itself as a cinematic outburst or a dramatic confrontation. Most often, it operates as a quiet, subtle dynamic that you only notice once you start looking for the signs. You might notice it after you've shared good news with a peer. You expected support, but you left the conversation feeling a strange, persistent level of friction that you can't quite name. We can define this friction as the jealousy tax. It shifts the focus from how a friendship feels to the actual structural weight it places on your daily performance. This graph illustrates the tax in action. While you might expect a consistent energy return from your social circle, interactions with a jealous peer cause a sharp decline in your operational baseline. You are forced to spend vital cognitive capital trying to decode microaggressions or second-guessing your own reality, leaving less energy for your actual work. Eventually, the tax forces a change in your behavior. You start instinctively shrinking your own ambitions to avoid the friction, effectively subsidizing their insecurity with your own potential. To stop this drain, we need to map the specific indicators of secret jealousy and calculate whether the relationship requires new boundaries or complete divestment. Identifying these patterns moves the focus toward objective resource management. It ensures your energy serves your future trajectory, rather than being consumed by a cycle of social maintenance. Evaluating a relationship requires looking past surface-level social inputs and measuring the specific viewer trade-offs they demand. One primary indicator is the backhanded compliment, a positive statement used as a delivery mechanism for a hidden insult. This forces your brain into a double leak. Instead of accepting the praise, you spend mental energy trying to decode the true meaning behind the sentence. The trade-off is a high cognitive load. You are expending energy on defensive social posturing rather than receiving the genuine support a healthy relationship provides. A more deceptive indicator is conditional empathy, often called the struggle fetish. You will notice this person suddenly has plenty of time to listen and offer support whenever you are facing failure or hardship. But that interest wanes the moment you succeed. They may even minimize your hard-earned achievements by framing them as lucky breaks. This dynamic is dangerous because it rewards your failures with social connection while punishing your wins with cold distance. Over time, this creates an incentive for subconscious self-sabotage as you realize that staying small is the only way to keep the friendship alive. Beyond emotional support, quiet jealousy often targets your individual identity and ambition. This is most visible in the secret copycat, someone who wants what you have but cannot admit to admiring you. They begin adopting your phrases, routines, or style. They may even target your same life goals, acting as if these ideas were entirely their own. What begins as flattery becomes a drain on your identity, as you realize the peer is intentionally blurring the lines between your achievements and theirs. This behavior often evolves into the role of the micro-competitor. They engage in constant one-upping. If you mention a busy schedule, they are more exhausted. If you share a minor win, they recall a larger one. Behind the scenes, they are keeping score, tracking who gets more attention or better opportunities within your social circle. This creates a zero-sum environment where your finite energy is consumed by petty social battles rather than real-world goals. Tolerating this loop diverts your drive away from meaningful achievements and wastes it on localized status games that have no long-term value. To see the full scope of the tax, we have to look at how these individuals behave in group settings. You will often see a sharp discrepancy between their public performance and their private reality. In public, a jealous person focuses on performing for the crowd. They clap graciously and maintain a warm smile, ensuring everyone sees a supportive ally. But the second you are alone, that warmth disappears. They become silent, cold, or dismissive of the very success they were just applauding. If another person in the group praises you, watch their face. A secretly jealous person will often look away or force a smile that doesn't reach their eyes. This dynamic creates localized psychological isolation. They isolate you emotionally while keeping their own public reputation intact. The trade-off is that you are forced into a gaslighting dynamic, pretending the relationship is healthy just to maintain the peace of the group. Consistently ignoring this private hostility erodes your trust in your own perception, making it harder to protect your interests in other areas of life. Transitioning from analysis to action requires a strategic response tailored to your specific situation. For the high-achieving optimizer, the most effective path is often to sever the connection entirely. Your goals require focus and momentum. The cognitive drain of a micro-competitor is a literal liability that you cannot afford to carry. If you are a pragmatic professional dealing with a jealous colleague, you may need to use the gray rock method. This involves starving the jealous peer of personal information and emotional reactions, effectively neutralizing them as a threat to your workplace peace. Finally, the empath must implement rigid boundaries to protect against guilt trips and doubt. Recognize that when someone brings up your past mistakes right as you're succeeding, they are using an artificial construct to keep you feeling small. Remember, there is infinite room for success. You have absolutely no obligation to shrink your joy to make someone else feel comfortable. Assess your inner circle objectively today and implement these boundaries where the tax is highest. Calculating the emotional ROI of your relationships and protecting your energy is one of the highest leverage investments you can make. Tell us about your own experiences with these dynamics in the comments below.